Not invincible, not harem, growing male lead, those who violate the heavenly authority of our country will surely lower the sword of approval. A regular high school student named Li Daozhi lives a repetitive life, thinking he would continue to do so. However, in one incident, he became an awakener. Li Daozhi said, "Am I the chosen one by heaven? Wait, how could I be the weakest level? Let's just lie flat. But will it really be as he wishes?" Chapter 1. Wedge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This is a world full of mystery, similar to blue stars but somewhat different. There is a substance called spirit everywhere in the world, which is small and cannot be seen, but can be perceived. There is a spirit within every living organism, but only when it reaches a certain quantity can it be used for oneself. Among humans, those who can control spiritual changes are called awakeners. Some animals that can control spirits are called monsters, also known as monsters in ancient times. They have a bloodthirsty nature and enjoy eating humans. However, from the perspective of ordinary people, neither the awakened nor Manta exists. If a situation similar to a car moving on its own occurs, it will only be considered a supernatural event. Most people in this world do not touch on matters related to spirituality, because there is a profession called psychics, who are composed of awakened beings and maintain the order of this world. There is a small city called Haiyan in China. At this moment, Li Mo walked into a pitch-black building. The owner of this building is a wealthy boss, with his houses located in many parts of the city. He arrived at the door of a room on the top floor. At this point, there were already several police officers standing here, who had received a call to the police at night. The one reporting to the police is the wife of the homeowner. She said she hadn't seen her husband for many days, so she searched everywhere and finally found him on the top floor of the house. Li Mo looked up at the man hanging from the ceiling. He was suspended by a hemp rope and seemed to have been dead for some time, emitting a foul odor. "How are you? Did you find anything?" Li Mo asked the police beside him. The preliminary judgment is that it was suicide, with no signs of injury on the body. Whether there were internal injuries or poisoning depends on forensic identification. Indeed, there are no bloodstains in this house, but it is also possible that the crime scene is not here. Does he have any enemies or family conflicts? There may be enemies' words, but family conflicts should not exist. On the contrary, family relationships are quite good. They had previously suspected that their wife deliberately called the police to alleviate their suspicion, but after investigation, they were very affectionate. Did he leave any last words? Li Mo took out a cigarette and lit it. Not really. Suicide without reason. It's like this again. He took a strong puff of smoke and choked on the female police officers around him. Sorry, Li Mo immediately extinguished the just-lit cigarette. This is not the first case of unjustified suicide. Whether looking through surveillance footage or searching for clues, it can only be seen that the victim committed suicide themselves, and the action was very decisive, as if there was no trace of memory. This is not normal. Many people should have thoughts of life before committing suicide. How could there be so many people who have no intention of living? To outsiders, this must be a supernatural event, as they were all possessed by turtles. But Li Mo knew that they must have been harmed by the awakened. Most awakened individuals have psychic powers, and the types and effects of these powers vary. Some can cause people to hang up unnoticed. Currently, a total of 108 types of psychics have been discovered, with the lower-ranked ones being more dangerous. Of course, the number of psychic powers goes far beyond these, it's just that they haven't been discovered yet. Chapter 2. Nightmares. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Monster. He's a monster, everyone stay away from him, the boy shouted out loud as he just saw his companion fly backwards in front of him. A somewhat emaciated boy crouched in the corner, holding his head and crying. Ashi didn't know what was going on. Just now, with a gentle push, the companion who was playing with him flew out. For a thin and weak person, it is impossible for him to have such great strength. The little girl came to the boy who was pushed out and helped him up. As soon as he stood up, his legs kept trembling, and he felt fear. He felt that it was not a thin and weak child who had pushed him just now, but a monster with a fierce face. He sat down again and burst into tears. The children in the welfare home all saw this scene and surrounded the boy squatting in the corner, pointing at Ah Shur and saying, "He's a monster, don't let him harm Ah Nan." "What's going on? They're all making noise here." "Auntie, it's him. He pushed Anan so far." The middle-aged woman named Auntie is a caregiver at a welfare home. She has no children and enjoys playing with them. "Ashi, what's wrong? Why are you pushing Anan?" Auntie stared at Ashi's red pupils, with a hazy mist in them. "Auntie, I don't know either. I just gave Anan a gentle push and somehow he flew out. Anyway, hitting someone is your fault. Come with me to the detention room." "No. I don't want to go." Ashi knew the consequences of going to the confinement room, where there was nothing, no TV, no toys, and no playmates. He had to stay there for 3 days before coming out. "Listen. If you do something wrong, you will be punished, otherwise how can you keep your memory?" she said as she went to pull Ah's hand. "Don't." Ashi shook off his mother's hand and felt his strength again. He easily shook off her rough big hand. Auntie's eyes were filled with fear, as if looking at a little monster. A 6-year-old child wouldn't have such strength. Monster. The boy suddenly sat up from the bed, and he had this nightmare again, the one that he couldn't forget. He sighed, his red eyes fixed on the pure white moonlight outside the window, and his roommate snoring echoed in his ears. "Oh sure, you woke up from being scared again," said the roommate who got out of bed. It seemed that he had already taken it seriously. "Yeah, I'm sorry Daozhi, I woke you up again. What kind of dream did you have? It's so scary, and you've been doing it all along. Should I take you to interpret it?" Li Daozhi kept asking, "Brother, even if your dream is scary, after so many times, you should be able to see it." "It's nothing, it's just a dream about when I was a child in the welfare home. Go to sleep." Mo Sure covered the blanket and lay down again. "Brother, you're sick and need treatment. Let's go to the hospital sometime to see if you're sick." Okay, good night. There are still a lot of classes tomorrow. It's high school grade and I have a lot of study pressure." Li Daozhi didn't say anything anymore and continued to sleep in bed. In the pitch-black dormitory, there were 2 red lights that were emitted from Mo Shure's pupils. "Li Daozhi. You're sleeping again. You're already in high school, don't you know how tight time is?" The homeroom teacher's chalk accurately hit Li Daozhi's forehead. "Oh my. Who's bothering me with my dream? I almost held hands with the goddess." Li Daozhi jumped up. Everyone knows who he is referring to as the goddess, the famous beauty in school and the young lady of the Tang group, Tang Xiaoyuan. Not only is she beautiful, but she also has good grades, and her family has a mine, which is the goal of all boys in the school. Li Daozhi goes back to the next door to see her every time after class. "Enough. Stand up for me." The homeroom teacher's head turned red with anger. Li Tulu's face turned red with anger again. "There's a good show to watch now," a boy whispered to his desk mate. Li Daozhi woke up and looked at the angry homeroom teacher, secretly saying something was wrong. Day by day, without any ideological consciousness, when has it been? The score is still so low, and I know how to sleep during the day. What did I do at night? Look at Mo Sure in your upper bunk, why doesn't he sleep in class? His grades are so good, why don't you learn? He said this for half an hour, but his classmates have already taken it for granted and are still talking about it with great enthusiasm. Most of the boys in the class have been scolded by Teacher Li, and there is even a small group discussion. Li Daozhi was numb and stood there dumbfounded, looking like he was about to fall asleep. You guys don't want me to worry, Li Daozhi. You called your parents over today, and I want to talk in person. Teacher Li sighed, holding his eyes. Don't, Teacher Li. My mother is very busy. Li Daozhi was scared when he thought of his mother. She is a strong woman who not only has to work to support her father and herself, but also cooks by herself. You also know that our family is busy, so you need to study hard and share the pressure with them. After class, Li Daozhi will come to my office. Teacher Li finished speaking and left the classroom with his book. Li Daozhi had no choice but to follow behind Teacher Li. Mo Shi walked up and said, "Sorry brother, you fell asleep during the day. I'll go explain to the bald donkey and don't let Aunt come." "Oh, it's not your fault. You don't know either. Even if I sleep like a pig at night, I still sleep like a bald donkey in math class. That's magic, I can't resist it." Li Daozhi made a gesture of a black man spreading his hand. "No, it's better for me to tell him." Mo Shi walked towards Teacher Li, but Li Daozhi couldn't say anything and didn't go and hold on to Mo Shi. "Teacher Li." Mo Shi came in front of Teacher Li. "Mo Shi, what's wrong? Are you here to ask a question?" Teacher Li saw that Mo Shi was looking for him, and his tense face suddenly relaxed. "If you want to ask a question, I'll talk to Li Daozhi first." "No, Teacher Li, I have no questions to ask. It's about Li Daozhi sleeping in class. It's all my fault for disturbing him at night and sleeping during the day. I know you have always been a good child, wanting to help your classmates and protect them, but Li Daozhi is not sleeping in class for the first time. You also know that in his third year of high school, what should he do if he doesn't show some grades for the college entrance examination? He must be corrected. It's not too late now, and if he can't get into a good university this time, he can still retake it as long as he is willing to learn." "Teacher, I understand. I will also help Li Daozhi." He didn't say much and turned to walk towards Li Daozhi. "I have no choice but to study hard, brother." Mo Shi patted Li Daozhi's shoulder and left. Li Daozhi shook his head. "I also wanted to study hard, but I really can't control myself." Chapter 3. Please parents. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Li Daozhi is very panicked now, and the two people he fears the most are discussing his matter, with a suffocating sense of oppression. Daozhi's mother, you also know that studying is urgent now, but Li Daozhi has no consciousness at all. He sleeps in class during the day, runs out to play basketball with other grades after class, and takes the college entrance examination in 2 or 3 months. There are no high school seniors playing basketball with him, but he is not at all aware of it. "I don't know what's going on at night, I definitely don't sleep, otherwise I wouldn't sleep during the day. I guess he's still hiding his phone playing there." Teacher Li sat at his desk, with Li Daozhi's mother sitting opposite him. There was also a fruit just delivered on the table. Li Daozhi's mother was dressed in a black uniform, and although there were some wrinkles on her face, she could still see that she was definitely a fan when she was young. "Teacher Li, don't talk nonsense. I don't play with my phone at night. I sleep obediently and soundly." He thought to himself, "Teacher, this is slander. I prefer sleeping better than playing with my phone, but I do hide a phone." "Shut up. There's no room for you to speak, you're the object of criticism." My mother glared at Li Daozhi. Li Daozhi's mother is not easy. Since her husband had a car accident 10 years ago and had both legs amputated, she has been solely responsible for the family's affairs. At the moment she received Li Daozhi's phone call, she felt something was wrong. As expected, she quickly took a leave and came to school. On the way, she also bought a bag of apples. "Teacher Li, I understand now. It's all because we, as parents, didn't take good care of him. He's usually too busy with work and doesn't have time to manage his studies. However, I also thought about it. For the sake of my child, I plan to take a leave to accompany him and let him go home from day school. Li Daozhi's mother, I know now. Then let him do day reading, and he should be able to rest well at home. Teacher Li took out a day reading application from a pile of documents. Oh, by the way, Li Daozhi had a fight with a student from another school last semester. He and another classmate beat up more than 10 people. It's best to be careful not to let him cause trouble on the way back. My mother couldn't believe it. Although Li Daozhi was indeed not good at studying, he was still very obedient at home. Every time he finished his meal, he would take the initiative to wash the dishes and even push his father for a walk outside. Impossible, right? How could 2 people possibly play more than 10 people? Teacher Li, don't joke, even if he plays basketball, he can still do it. To be honest, I didn't believe it at first, but I was also startled when I saw the bruises and swollen faces of those dozen high school students. Teacher Li took a sip of tea and remembered that incredible scene. 2 people chased after more than 10 young people with bruises and swollen faces. In the end, the police didn't even know what to do. There were many of you, so it must be you who were wrong. But their pleading expression seemed to be saying they were victims. Li Daozhi also recalled the day when they were blocking the killing of gods and Buddha. He thought it would be a fierce battle this time, and he could only fight 3 or 4 at most. His physique could easily hold back 2 of them. I didn't expect this guy to have such great strength. With just 1 punch, he flew a strong man who was 1 head taller than himself. This really scared Li Daozhi. I can't believe those dozen or so students from other schools, but they can't be afraid. No matter how strong he is, 2 people can't possibly defeat them. So, one by one, they all flew backwards. They also believed in this evil and just wanted to get away from this monster as soon as possible. The one who ran was called fast, but not always faster. In the end, they had no choice but to call the police over, and only then did they stop. Li Daozhi was like a passing soy sauce maker, doing nothing, and he was also remembered when he was punished. Okay, I'll take care of him. Li Daozhi's mother signed the day study application and handed it to Teacher Li. Then I'll go back to the company and talk to the boss. Okay, Daozhi's mother, take your time. Let's go back and stay tonight. Goodbye, Teacher Li. Li Daozhi escorted his mother to the school gate all the way, not daring to say a word. In the end, his mother spoke first. What would you like to eat tonight? He didn't expect his mother's first sentence to be asking him what he wanted to eat tonight, rather than criticizing him. Anything is fine, I won't choose. He dares not choose now. He's like a prisoner, can't he still want to order? Then make your favorite pork belly tonight, but I'll be back later. You can go home first. Okay, Li Daozhi lowered his head. He dared not look up at his mother, unaware of her current expression. Hurry up to class, listen carefully, take good notes, I need to check. Mom took a taxi and left. Li Daozhi also returned to the classroom. This class was physics, and he didn't know why he chose science. At that time, he just didn't want to do the reading and memorization of humanities, which was too troublesome. How's it going? Did your mother scold you so badly? A little chubby guy ran up to him. He was also Li Daozhi's roommate, and his snoring was the loudest at night. At the beginning of school, it was like a nightmare in the dormitory, and later they got used to it. Lu Dun, don't owe him so much. Mo Sure walked over and pulled him apart. My mom didn't scold me, she even asked me what I wanted to eat, and from today on, I've been reading. Li Daozhi tilted his lips and smiled at Lu Dun. Ah. No, it's not. It's so satisfying. Even if you haven't been scolded, how can you still go home? This is too cheap, you kid. I also have to apply to the bald donkey. Lu Dun shouted loudly, afraid that others wouldn't hear him. Cough cough, who are you talking about as a bald donkey? Lu Dun's cold sweat suddenly came down, and behind him was a strong chill. Teacher Li, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. This nickname was given to you by Zhao Zihao. Your adult has a lot to deal with, so don't argue with others. Lu Dun concentrated his intelligence, turned around, apologized, and pulled out Zhao Zihao to cushion his back. You fat Lu, if Li Tulu really came, you would have sold me. Zhao Zihao grabbed Lu Dun's ear and pulled his head up. Ah. Brother Hao, stop talking. It hurts so much. I dare not betray you, little one. I must know that voice wasn't Li Tulu who dared to say that. Lu Pengzi wouldn't even lie. Never mind, I won't argue with you this time. I came to see my good brother Daozhi. Zhao Zihao let go of his ear and walked up to Li Daozhi. Li Tulu is really criticizing you for going to day school. Aren't he afraid that you will go to another school to fight? They were famous for their fight that time. They chased after more than a dozen people, but they didn't know that Li Daozhi was actually just a soy sauce maker. After all, he looked more capable of fighting than Mo Shi. Yeah, my mom even quit her job. It seems like I really need to study hard. This is also quite good. Although the three of us in our dormitory are not very good except for Mo Shi's good grades, Lu Dun and I barely managed to get into college, and our family's situation is good. It's still possible to get into a better school. Brother, you need to work hard. Zhao Zihao's family is very wealthy, and with his grades and some means, he can really get into a good university. Lu Dun's family is also a well-known connected household, and he can establish some connections with some celebrities. Not to mention Mo Shi, his grades are either Yuta or Wadayaku. Okay, I'll listen carefully to the class now. He took out his notebook, and his mother still had to check it tonight. Chapter 4. Kidnapping. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Ding ling ling. The bell of school bell rang throughout the entire campus. The sunset dyed the white teaching building of the school red, and students walked out one after another, making the previously quiet campus lively. Li Daozhi packed his backpack and stuffed in his carefully crafted notes. Although there were still many that he didn't understand, he took down everything. Be careful on the way back, don't hit those guys when you see them, Mo Shi joked. You kid, even though you were the one who beat me up, you boasted that it was all my fault, he said unhappily. Li Daozhi said goodbye to Mo Shi with his backpack on his back. I'll see you tomorrow. If you still have nightmares tonight, let's go see. Li Daozhi walked out of the classroom, and the corridor was already empty. He still wanted to see if there was anyone in the next class and if there was that white figure. Tang Xiaoyuan likes white, as everyone in the school knows. Except for a few days, she always wears white clothes and skirts, and even her shoes are all white. So she is also known as Snow White. A probe, he learned the probe movements in CS and looked into the neighboring classroom. Sure enough, he didn't disappoint. Tang Xiaoyuan was about to leave the classroom when half of her white figure was dyed red by the sunset outside the window. She didn't seem to notice anyone looking at her and naturally walked out of the classroom. Li Daozhi followed behind, their footsteps overlapping in this quiet corridor. Mo Shi sighed behind them, feeling helpless for his brother's lack of competitiveness. He had liked her for 3 years, but still like this. Can't he just cut it off like a man? Li Daozhi enjoyed the process very much. Their footsteps overlapped and felt very harmonious, but he also knew that he was just learning from Tang Xiaoyuan's footsteps. If the group of people in their dormitory heard his voice, they might have laughed uncontrollably. This pure act of licking the dog would make them feel ashamed for Li Daozhi. Gradually, they left the teaching building, and everyone's attention focused on Tang Xiaoyuan, not caring about the followers behind. See you tomorrow, Xiaoyuan. A girl waved to her. See you tomorrow, she smiled and looked at the girl. Tang Xiaoyuan has always been a day student, and there is a dedicated car for transportation at home. After returning, there will be tutors waiting for her. While her academic performance is good, she is also proficient in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Therefore, even if there are many people pursuing her, none of them have succeeded, perhaps because she thinks they are not good enough. But he was different. As long as he looked at Tang Xiaoyuan's back every day, it was like Snow White walking out of a painting. He also wanted to face the goddess, but he didn't dare. The road from the teaching building to the school gate felt very long, and he didn't remember it being so long. Perhaps it was because he was walking with the person he liked. Under the sunset, the shadow was stretched long, and Tang Xiaoyuan couldn't help but know that she was following someone behind her, and the head of the shadow had already reached her. Li Daozhi never thought that even shadows could betray him, but fortunately Tang Xiaoyuan did not turn back, so he was not so nervous anymore. The journey always has an endpoint, just a few steps away from the school gate. The driver of Tang Xiaoyuan's family must be waiting outside, and I can only walk back on foot. Tang Xiaoyuan turned her head left and right at the school gate, as if confirming something. She then took out her phone and made a phone call, sighed, and stopped the taxi. After leaving the school gate, Li Daozhi also understood, and for some reason, the driver did not come to pick her up. He paused behind Tang Xiaoyuan for a moment, thinking that if only he had a car, even a motorcycle, he could take her back. Just as I thought about it, I shook my head hard. Even if I had a car, I couldn't take her back. I'm not really her. Li Daozhi turned his head and walked towards the path home, which he would take every weekend. That was one of his happiest moments. There are very few people on the road, and Haiyan No. 1 Middle School is a residential school, with very few people attending day school. If it were after school on Friday, it would be lively. The street vendors would block the streets and students would look left and right at the stalls. The big river flows eastward, the stars in the sky are like the Big Dipper. He sometimes envies those characters in the water margin. Although they have gone through hardships, there will always be brothers to drink and have fun with you. As he walked, he stopped and heard the sound of vehicles speeding behind him. He could feel that he was driving very fast, and he was most afraid of those who were driving too fast. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to stop the car and hit himself, and it wouldn't be good if he didn't hit himself and crushed the flowers and plants. He turned his head to look behind him, and a yellow taxi passed by him. Oh my, I almost died. Can you have long eyes? He really wanted to give the driver a kick. Help! Help! This voice feels very familiar. If you guessed correctly, it should be Tang Xiaoyuan's voice. He looked carefully and found a black-clad man in the back seat of the taxi holding on to Tang Xiaoyuan, covering her mouth with his hand. Li Daozhi's mind suddenly became confused. What's going on? Is this kidnapping? I'm going to save her. Should I go find the police for help? The car had already left him for 5 meters before he realized something and ran towards the taxi. The car was getting further and further away from him, but his footsteps did not stop. If only a car were great, even a bicycle would be fine. Li Daozhi, what are you doing? Do you really think you're Superman? You can't run past the car, so let's leave this matter to the police. He slowed down and the car was completely nowhere to be seen. Breathing heavily, he found the nearest police station. I told the police about the license plate number, the appearance of the car, and some details I saw. After completing the transcript, the sun had completely set, and the streetlights illuminated the road. He had already run far away from home. I wonder if he will be scolded when he returns this time. Dong dong. He knocked on the door and when he returned home, it was already 8 o'clock. With a click, the door opened and Li Daozhi walked in. Mom and Dad were both sitting at the dinner table. Mom was sitting in a chair, and Dad was sitting in a wheelchair. Speaking of which, both of my father's legs were caused by him. 10 years ago, on the weekend, my family was originally happy to go play. At that time, my father felt very tall and somewhat handsome. Every time he couldn't walk, he would carry himself on his back. His back was so broad and sturdy. But because he wanted to buy a toy that time, his parents didn't buy it for him and made a big fuss, and in the end, he even ran towards the road. A speeding car rushed over, unable to brake in time. At the critical moment, his father pushed him away. When he got up and saw his father again, his legs were already flattened. Chapter 5. Tang Group. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I'm back, then come and have dinner, Mom said with a smile on her face. Dad was also very happy and said, Daozhi is back. I heard your mother say you should go to day school, but I am extremely happy. Finally, I can see you every day. After his father had his legs amputated, he did not blame Li Daozhi, and he loved him more than ever, which made Li Daozhi feel very uncomfortable. From that day on, he never told his family what he wanted again, and he would also compete to do some household chores. Li Daozhi sat across from his mother and looked at the untouched food. He suddenly felt uncomfortable again, and his family was waiting for his unruly son to eat. Let's eat, the dishes are all cold. Dad first grabbed a piece of pork belly and put it into Li Daozhi's bowl. A bite of pork belly in my mouth, although it has cooled down, it is still very delicious and has the familiar taste. I heard you often cause trouble at school, Dad asked Li Daozhi while eating. Well, I was scolded by the teacher for sleeping during class. What's sleeping in class? Who hasn't slept in class? Your father was a man known as a contemplative back then. Li's father spoke confidently, as if talking about his glorious deeds back then. That's a good thing to say. You and your son have the same moral character. Mom glanced at this middle-aged man in white. Although he lost his legs, he never became passive and even started learning video editing and doing some temporary work at home. What I'm actually asking is, are you and that classmate named Mo really chasing more than 10 people to fight? Although I don't want to admit it, it is indeed like that. That's too cool, isn't it? How useless those kids are. If I had been like this before, I would have let the whole city of Haiyan know about it. Li's father said more and more vigorously, but you still need to be careful not to do such things in the future. Dad, if you were present at the time, you wouldn't have said these words. I couldn't have done it at all. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. After dinner, hurry up and do your homework. Today, I'll wash the dishes myself. Li's father patted his chest, feeling as if he was old and strong. After dinner, Li Daozhi also came to his room. He took out all the books and turned on the desk lamp. The light shone on the homework book, holding a pen in his hand and hesitating to start. He couldn't write at all and kept replaying the scene of Tang Xiaoyuan being captured in his mind. The police have already gone and told Tang Xiaoyuan's parents about the situation. What else can I do? I can only pray silently. It's impossible to find a group of kidnappers alone in this vast city of Haiyan. Not to mention whether you can find them, you definitely won't be able to beat them. Time passed by minute by second, but he still didn't think about learning at all. No, if this doesn't happen, I might never be able to continue learning. Son. There's your phone, Mom shouted outside, her voice very penetrating. Okay, here we go. Li Daozhi came to the living room to pick up the phone handed over by his mother. Hello, Li Daozhi said calmly. Hello, are you Li Daozhi? I'm Tang Xiaoyuan's father. Thank you so much. If it weren't for you reporting to the police so quickly, we wouldn't have known that Xiaoyuan had been kidnapped. When Li Daozhi went to the police station, the police immediately informed her family that the young lady from the Tang group had been kidnapped. I happened to meet her on my way home today, but no one came to pick her up. It seemed like I was waiting for a taxi, and then I saw the taxi taking her away and asking for help from me. It was our negligence. We just contacted the driver and he is currently in the hospital. He should have been knocked unconscious by someone, Tang Hao sighed. What do you want? I can satisfy you with anything I can do. What does he want? He wants everything, he really wants too much. He wants good grades, money, his father's legs to heal, and Tang Xiaoyuan to be his girlfriend. My head twitched and I said, I want Tang Xiaoyuan to come back safely. As soon as he said it, he regretted it a bit. He was making a wish with her father, and he would definitely make sure his daughter was okay. Be careful with him. Ha ha ha, considering others at a young age, I will fulfill your wish even if you don't say so. I will definitely let my daughter come back safely. If they dare to touch Xiaoyuan, I will let them know about Tang Hao's anger. You can feel Tang Hao's anger on the phone. Since you haven't figured out what you want yet, feel free to come to me if you need anything in the future. Goodbye, Daozhi. Goodbye, Uncle Tang. The phone hung up, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he gave himself another chance, otherwise he would have spewed out a mouthful of old blood. Son, why did the CEO of the Tang Group come to find you? My mother felt incredulous. How could her not-so-smart son establish a relationship with Tang Hao? You said you're causing trouble again, you're not making his daughter cry, are you? Mom, your imagination is too rich, I dare not even think of giving me 1,000 courage. He didn't have time to like Tang Xiaoyuan, how could he provoke her anger? Actually, I came back so late today to go to the police station. I saw Tang Xiaoyuan being arrested by the kidnappers. He is truly my son, he is brave. Dad pushed the wheel and came to Li Daozhi's mother and son, giving him a thumbs up. Tang Xiaoyuan has been kidnapped, and children from wealthy families are also very dangerous. Don't think too much. After finishing your studies, go to bed quickly. You have done everything you need to do, and leave the rest to them. Mom waved her hand and sat back in front of the TV to watch. He definitely can't get into his studies, he just falls asleep and is a genius in sleeping. Chapter 6. Taxi appearing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, Li Daozhi hummed a tune and walked on his way to school. Seine River coffee on the left bank, I hold a cup, taste your beauty mouth that leaves a lip print. This is also one of the few songs he knows how to sing. He often sings this song while taking a shower, to the point where Zhao Zihao called him Shower Confession King, and asked him not to stay in the dormitory and sing a few lines for the girls. In fact, he knows that his singing is not very good, and those scammers just want to see him embarrass. The path was so quiet, with only birds chirping. He walked slowly and enjoyed everything. Ding-ling-ling. Shua. I forgot the time, even the preparation bell rang. Li Daozhi rode his horse and whip into the school gate, running towards the teaching building. Today we will continue to review derivatives. I have written the topic on the PPT, and once you have finished, I will talk about it. A hurried running sound reached the classroom. Sorry teacher, I'm late. Li Daozhi gasped heavily, struggling to speak. Come on in, Teacher Li shook his head. He didn't expect this kid to be late on the first day of his day off. Li Daozhi sat in his seat, panting heavily, and looked at what was on the PPT, which was completely incomprehensible. As usual, he gradually regained his senses. I don't know how Tang Xiaoyuan is now, she won't be attacked by the kidnappers, will she? A class passed in my wild imagination. Do you feel comfortable living at home, Daozhi? Lu Dun walked over to Li Daozhi's desk. Not bad, the food at home is better than at school, and there's also a bed. It's really comfortable and soft. Seeing my brothers doing well, my back teeth are about to bite apart. Lu Dun grabbed the position of his heart with his right hand and made a painful expression. By the way, we'll take care of your precious phone for you, Lu Dun laughed, feeling cheap. Then you have to give me rent, 10 yuan per night. Don't be so stingy, we are roommates who share difficulties. Okay, keep it safe for you. You can give it to me on graduation day. Li Daozhi didn't want to argue with this chubby little guy anymore, he didn't have time to talk to him now. Where did Zhao Zihao go? Why didn't he come to class? He pointed to Zhao Zihao's empty seat. Mo Shi came over with a bag of cookies and handed Li Daozhi a piece. His family told him something last night and went back, he said, have you heard about it? It seems that Tang Xiaoyuan from the neighboring class has been kidnapped. Lu Dun naturally took a biscuit from Mo Shi na. Indeed, the news spread throughout the school last night. This is true, and it was me who reported it to the police. Li Daozhi didn't expect the school to be so well informed. He doesn't remember telling others about it. It's not surprising at all. After Li Daozhi reported to the police last night, the police came to the school to investigate and even asked a few classmates questions. Anla, we can't help with this either. You should study well. Lu Dun patted Li Daozhi's shoulder and took another biscuit from Mo Shi back to his seat. Mo Shi, it's Friday today. Can you go find Tang Xiaoyuan with me after class? I knew you would say that. I'll definitely help with my brother's help, but it's not easy to find those kidnappers. After hearing what you said, you have a way to deal with the kidnappers. Li Daozhi knew that Mo Shi was very powerful, but he didn't expect that even the kidnappers could deal with him. There must be a way, Mo Shi smiled. What's the solution? Li Daozhi couldn't believe it, Mo Shi really had a solution. Call the police, what else can we do? You guy, Li Daozhi punched Mo Shi's shoulder. Stop making trouble, let's go find you after school. At the same time and place, Li Daozhi and Mo Shi stood at the place where Tang Xiaoyuan took a taxi yesterday. However, today's street is particularly lively, with small vendors and their carts filling the street. Do you want a pancake fruit? It's my treat. Mo Shi pointed to a pancake fruit stall next to him. No need, let's search before the sun sets. I'm afraid my family will worry if we go back too late. Okay, then walk along the street you chased yesterday. Li Daozhi started running slowly, following the path he had been running desperately on yesterday. There's no need to run, there's no one to chase today. Mo Shi watched as Li Daozhi started running, and he also quickened his pace. In the end, they arrived at a fork in the road. Did you have a clue? Why did you stop? Mo Shi looked around the intersection and didn't see anything strange at all. No, I lost it here yesterday. Then ask the police to check the surveillance footage here. I checked yesterday, but the surveillance on this street was good or bad yesterday. We can't investigate anymore, let's go back. Mo Shi turned around and prepared to return the same way. Li Daozhi pressed his shoulder and said, turn left, let's go left and take a look. What? What do you remember? Li Daozhi shook his head and said, no, it's just my intuition telling me they're heading left. You rely entirely on Meng, but forget it. I'll accompany you down today. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Mo Shi punched Li Daozhi on the shoulder. At this time, it happens to be the peak time for work, with cars coming and going. The small restaurants on the roadside are crowded with customers. Haiyan City is an 18th-tier small town with many old urban areas, and this street has a human touch. Do you still need to leave? The sun has already set. Actually, you can't find it yourself, you don't even know what to look for. Let's go back then. Yes, he doesn't know how to find those kidnappers. They may be in residential buildings or in the wilderness. Don't think about this, she'll be fine. You're worried about her, but we're all just ordinary people, she said, following behind the frustrated Li Daozhi. Ouch. Mo Shi bumped into Li Daozhi. Why did you stop? Li Daozhi stopped because he saw the taxi yesterday and suddenly became excited again. He couldn't miss this opportunity again and immediately ran to a small shop where a customer parked their bike outside without locking it. Borrow your car and return it later, Li Daozhi said as he rode his bike towards the taxi. Hey! My car! The guest who was about to pay the bill was confused, so he openly snatched the bike. Mo Shi was also fooled by Li Daozhi's actions. Li Daozhi had some kind of nerve reaction just now and snatched someone else's bicycle and ran away. But he soon understood again and saw Li Daozhi chasing a taxi. Mosher also apologized to the customer who had the stolen bicycle and bought it. Li Daozhi gradually accelerated and finally maintained the same speed as the taxi. Li Daozhi had a feeling that the rental car was intentionally waiting for him, afraid that he might lose it. In the end, the taxi arrived at an abandoned factory. Chapter 7. Fighting the Kidnappers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Boss. It's not good. The little yellow-haired man ran back to the factory with a frightened expression on his face. A bald, scarred face smashed a bottle of wine over and said, "You're not good. Tell me what's going on, can the police come over?" "Even if they come over, there's no need to be afraid." No, don't you remember the taxi we drove?" Huang Mao's voice trembled slightly. "Isn't that taxi asking you to drive into the river? What's wrong? If you have something to say, hurry up." Scar's face was a bit impatient. "Yeah. I drove that car into the river, but now it's parked at the factory gate." Li Daozhi rode his bicycle all the way to the entrance of this dilapidated factory. He didn't rush in and hid in the nearby forest. He saw a yellow-haired man come out and hurriedly ran back. He had some impression of that yellow-haired person, as if he was the one holding Tang Xiaoyuan in a taxi. He wanted to call the Public Security Bureau with his phone, but after pulling out his pocket, he was stunned. Because the school doesn't allow bringing mobile phones, and coupled with my mother's strict discipline, I didn't bring my phone today at all. Should we continue waiting here or go back to find the police? It would be best to go back and find the police, but he wants to confirm Tang Xiaoyuan's situation now. Just as he was about to get up, Huang Mao came out of the factory door again, followed by 5 or 6 people. He immediately hid behind the tree. "Boss, it's this taxi. I clearly drove into the river." Huang Mao pointed to the taxi and shouted loudly. The scar man pushed yellow hair away and calmly walked towards the taxi. A closer look reveals that the car is still the same as yesterday's, and there is no trace of being soaked in water. "There's no one inside, it seems like they've run away," the scar man chuckled. "Who's playing tricks here?" "Boss, the driver actually knows our location, have we been exposed?" "What are you panicking about? The police haven't arrived yet, have you? You drive the car aside, we'll continue to guard inside, waiting for the boss to notify us next." Li Daozhi, who was far away, was scared out in a cold sweat. However, he never left the taxi with his eyes, and there was no one on it. "So, have you been chasing a hearse all along? It's so strange, that group of people seems to be amazed by the appearance of this taxi." However, Li Daozhi doesn't care about these anymore. Let's first confirm Tang Xiaoyuan's situation. After all the kidnappers entered the factory, Li Daozhi slowly arrived at the entrance of the factory. He still didn't dare to poke his head over to look. If he was found, he didn't know what to do with it, and they didn't know what weapons they had. Knives were definitely there, and if they had guns, they wouldn't be able to run away on their own. "Boss, why don't the boss let me ask for money from this little girl's family? Shouldn't kidnapping her be asking for money?" A muscular man sat next to Tang Xiaoyuan, who was tied up. "You ask me, who do I ask? The boss wants us to tie her up, everything is arranged according to his plan, and we still have a reward after the incident." Scarface kept staring at her phone, probably waiting for the boss to notify. From the front door, one would definitely be noticed. Li Daozhi walked towards the side of the factory building and found a window. He slightly leaned out half of his face and looked inside. The Scarface boss sat in the innermost seat, playing with his phone. Tang Xiaoyuan was tied to a chair, her mouth sealed with tape, and her eyes were red and swollen from crying. There were no more tears flowing down, and her eyes were filled with despair. Next to Tang Xiaoyuan stood a tall and sturdy man, with yellow hair sitting on the ground in front of his scarred face. Li Daozhi observed the factory building and confirmed that there were about 12 people inside, each with a sinister expression on their faces. Several of them were still playing with folding knives. With my own abilities, I'm afraid not all 3 of them can handle it. They have knives but I have no weapons. Since we have confirmed Tang Xiaoyuan's situation, we should hurry back and notify the police comrades. The scar man kept staring at his phone screen and finally received a message. However, after reading it, he felt a bit confused. It turned out that this boss had this kind of habit. Scarface walked up to the strong man with his phone in hand and said, "Lu Tao, this task has been entrusted to you. Do you know that I am not interested in women?" Lu Tao looked at the content on his phone and said, "Hey, but boss, I have a wife, isn't that good? Are you still meddling in these things even after you've been with me? Don't be hypocritical." Scar's face looked disdainful. Lu Tao is still pretending to be here, and those who work in their industry will still care about these things. Alright, little girl, don't blame me. I'm also forced to be helpless. Lu Tao's expression suddenly became lewd, his mouth curled high. Scarface really wants to slap it. Do you feel forced and helpless like this? Tang Xiaoyuan saw Lu Tao's appearance at this moment and felt something was wrong. My hand was also eager to move and touched her body. She wanted to seek help, but no one could hear her voice. Woo woo woo. Tang Xiaoyuan's mouth was stuck with tape, unable to make a cry for help, only a whimpering sound could be heard in her throat. Her face was full of fear, and her inner fear was almost reaching its peak. Water rippled again in her already swollen eyes. Who can save her at this time? Now that she hasn't even found her father, who can find her? Lu Tao's hand was already within reach, and she dared not look anymore. Her eyes closed, and a droplet of water flowed down her cheeks. Stop it. Li Daozhi knew there was danger and ran over, unable to watch the girl he liked being defiled by this sleazy man. Tang Xiaoyuan slowly opened her eyes, and when he heard the sentence, "Stop," his heart skipped a beat. He didn't expect someone to come and save her. Where did you come from? Don't you know where this is? Huang Mao stood up and slowly walked towards Li Daozhi. Due to the fact that it was already dark, Tang Xiaoyuan couldn't see the face of the boy at the door clearly, but she felt a bit familiar. Could it be someone who had pursued her before? It's impossible, those people wouldn't have the courage to run into the kidnappers' den. Little ghost, are you crazy about wanting to be a hero? You even dare to venture into our territory. Huang Mao walked up to Li Daozhi. Li Daozhi is 1 head taller than him, not because he is tall, but because his yellow hair is too short. Huang Mao looked up at Li Daozhi and realized that he was not looking at him at all, but at Lu Tao. Lu Tao was also stunned when he saw this kid, but he didn't pay much attention. He grabbed Tang Xiaoyuan's shoulder with his hand. I told you to stop, did you hear me? Li Daozhi roared, glaring angrily at Lu Tao. You kid, how dare you ignore me? Huang Mao saw that Li Daozhi was completely ignoring him, and his anger grew stronger. He swung his fist and hit Li Daozhi in the face. Chapter 8. Ghost People. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Huang Mao fell heavily to the ground. Just now, Li Daozhi grabbed Huang Mao's arm and threw him over the shoulder with his backhand, directly hitting him like a dog gnawing on mud. Ah! Huang Mao let out a scream, imagining how painful the fall was. Li Daozhi said before that he could fight 3 or 4 at a time, but he was not bragging. Due to regular exercise, hitting yellow hair, which is a relatively thin and weak blow, can make you fall flat. If it weren't for Mosher being too fierce and stealing his limelight, those 10 or so high school students would definitely have given themselves a second glance. After seeing Huang Mao fall to the ground, others picked up their knives and stared fixedly at Li Daozhi. Ha ha ha. Wang Ergu, you're so useless, you can't even deal with a little ghost. Lu Tao laughed heartily, and when he saw Huang Mao being thrown out, his hand had already left Tang Xiaoyuan. Why laugh? Oh my! Wang Ergu got up from the ground, holding his face with one hand and taking out a folding knife from his pocket with the other, pointing at Li Daozhi's nose. I think you're tired of living, kid. Wang Ergu waved his folding knife and headed towards Li Daozhi. Enough. Second dog, please step back for me. Scared Face shouted loudly, it's not embarrassing to throw it away. Lu Tao, go ahead and teach this kid a good lesson. Wang Ergu had to obediently retreat. Lu Tao licked his tongue and looked at Li Daozhi, just like looking at a large piece of delicious donpa braised pork. He used to be a thug who specialized in cleaning up guys that employers couldn't stand. His hands were covered in blood and very cruel. Once he accidentally killed someone, the employer was arrested, and he escaped with a scarred face. Finally, I can move my muscles and bones again. Lu Tao twisted his head, making a crisp sound between his bones. Brother Lu is about to take action. There's a good show to watch now. He used to be a well-known pedestrian street, known as the Ghost Man Lu Tao. The other guys are whispering below, and they are all aware of Lu Tao's terror. Tang Xiaoyuan watched as Lu Tao got closer and closer to Li Daozhi, and for some reason, she began to feel scared. She didn't want to see others get hurt because of herself. Run quickly, while you're still in a hurry, don't worry about me. Go and call the police. What's the use of you alone? They all have knives, how can you beat them? Tang Xiaoyuan shouted in her heart. Li Daozhi watched Lu Tao approach without moving a step, not that he was not afraid, nor that he was too scared to move. He just wants to be a hero and can't leave the girl in front of him. He wants to save her. Just like in martial arts novels, having a hero save the beauty during a crisis will make the beautiful woman fall in love with you at first glance. Lu Tao has a tall figure, and in Tang Xiaoyuan's view, his body has completely covered Li Daozhi. He looked down at Li Daozhi and said, Kid, are you ready? I'm going to take action. Lu Tao pressed his fingers, making a crisp sound between them. Come on, Li Daozhi took a step back and lowered his body slightly. He clenched his fists and protected his front, jumping his legs horizontally. You have learned something in a certain way, I don't know how long you can hold it in my hands. Lu Tao took a step forward with his right leg, pressing his weight all over his right leg. The muscles on his right arm suddenly appeared, and he hit Li Daozhi with a right hook punch. Li Daozhi immediately reacted and leaned down to the right, pressing his entire body down. Lu Tao's fist swept past Li Daozhi's head with a gust of wind. Before Lu Tao could fully retract his right hand, Li Daozhi also punched Lu Tao in the abdomen. However, this punch was caught by Lu Tao's left hand, with his palm facing Li Daozhi's fist. He wanted to grab Li Daozhi's fist, but Li Daozhi quickly withdrew his hand. It's a close call, being caught would be disastrous. To fight someone with greater strength, you need to be faster than him. Not bad, kid. The speed is quite fast. You can dodge my fist and take the opportunity to counterattack. Lu Tao's interest in Li Daozhi increased. Li Daozhi quickly distanced himself from Lu Tao and couldn't be too close to him, otherwise he wouldn't have time to react. Another punch hit, aimed at his head, and it was evident that Lu Tao didn't even know how to hold his hand. Each punch could be fatal. Li Daozhi quickly retreated, his fists constantly pressing. As he was about to hit him, he turned his head to one side and used his left arm to hit Lu Tao's right arm from the side, causing his fist to lean to the side. Finally managed to dodge this punch, and another punch hit his chest. After Lu Tao punched his right fist, his left fist followed closely. Li Daozhi didn't have time to hide, so he placed his arms on his chest and punched him hard. He took 5 or 6 steps back before stopping, and his arms hurt as if they had hit a steel pipe. But fortunately, I can still bear it. If I hit my chest, I might fall to the ground and not wake up. As the sky grew darker, the kidnappers lit up their flashlights, and under the illumination of more than 10 flashlights, Tang Xiaoyuan also saw the boy's appearance clearly. A handsome face, with sturdy muscles. Even in such a place, there is still a hint of a smile on the face. It's him, the boy who often peeks at him. Every time after class, he always runs over from the next classroom and peeks at her from the back door. He also follows behind him after school, as if he's in the same club as him. Such a boy can be said to have nothing special to attract her. But now that inconspicuous boy is fighting a group of villains for her. Li Daozhi took advantage of the moment when the light was on and his eyes had not yet adapted, punching Lu Tao in the face. Lu Tao pushed back suddenly and almost fell. Li Daozhi thought this punch was enough for him, and he definitely wouldn't be able to recover in the short term. Let's hurry up and pursue the victory. Another punch went towards Lu Tao, but he underestimated the man who was known as the human ghost. That punch didn't have much impact on him, so Lu Tao grabbed the punch with his right hand. Li Daozhi secretly said something was wrong. Being caught would cause a big deal. He wanted to break free, but Lu Tao's strength was too strong, causing his arm to ache. Kid, how are you hiding now? Lu Tao raised his other fist high and threw it at Li Daozhi. He couldn't dodge this punch, at least he had a concussion. At the moment when he reached Li Daozhi, Lu Tao shouted out, "Ah!" Li Daozhi flew backwards. Lu Tao covered his crotch with both hands, his expression twisted, and one can imagine the pain at this moment. Lu Tao received such an impact, and the strength of his fist greatly decreased. Quickly, Li Daozhi stood up and spat out a mouthful of blood foam. "You're so despicable. Kill you little beast." Ergo drew his knife and ran towards Li Daozhi. "Wait a minute, let me come." Lu Tao's face gradually became fierce, one can imagine the anger at this moment. Lu Tao rushed towards Li Daozhi like a wild beast with crazy hair. Li Daozhi quickly dodged, and Lu Tao followed closely without letting go. He let out a roar, which made Li Daozhi's eardrums uncomfortable. If we continue like this, we will eventually be caught, and we have no choice but to confront them. At the moment when Lu Tao approached, Li Daozhi kicked towards his abdomen and retreated with a reaction force. But Lu Tao did not retreat but instead advanced, enduring the pain in his abdomen, and grabbed Li Daozhi's calf with both hands, then slammed it onto the ground. Li Daozhi felt a downward force, causing him to quickly fall and forcefully hit the ground. Chapter 9. Times have changed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Severe pain spread throughout the body. Li Daozhi felt that his bones were about to be misplaced, his head buzzing, and his eyes were pitch black. Blood spurted out from the nose, and the ears couldn't hear any sound, feeling isolated from the world. When his consciousness returned, he heard mocking laughter, crying, and screams. Laughter is from the kidnappers, crying is from Tang Xiaoyuan, and screams are from oneself. At the moment Tang Xiaoyuan saw Li Daozhi fall to the ground, her heart was filled with mixed feelings, and she felt a bit guilty. What a fool, even though she knew it was impossible to win, she came to save her. "What's wrong, kid? It's not going to work. If it doesn't work, go back and find your mother, ha ha ha." Lu Tao reached out to grab Li Daozhi's collar. Li Daozhi's eyes also recovered, and he saw a big hand grabbing him and rolling to the side, trying to dodge. "Oh, do you still have strength? Then let's fight until you have no strength." Lu Tao stopped catching him. "Stand up, let's come again." "It suits my taste." Li Daozhi slowly stood up with his hands propped up on his knees. "Crazy, you're just crazy. Don't run away without looking at yourself. Do you want to be beaten to death?" Tang Xiaoyuan doesn't understand this fool and doesn't run quickly even after being like this. Li Daozhi wiped his nose blood with his sleeve and spat out a mouthful of blood foam on the ground, looking at Lu Tao's face with determination. "Not bad, don't be beaten to death." Lu Tao raised his fist and rushed over, regardless of whether Li Daozhi was ready now. "Ah!" Li Daozhi shouted and waved his own fist towards Lu Tao's fist. He knew he couldn't beat Lu Tao, his strength was not as strong as Lu Tao, and his speed was also about the same. Since that was the case, he had to show his ruthlessness. Two fists collided, and Li Daozhi took 3 steps back before stopping, while Lu Tao remained motionless. He felt like the bones in his arm were shattered and somewhat dislocated. Li Daozhi grabbed his right arm with his left hand and pulled it directly to reset. He also dislocated himself a few times while playing basketball, and later learned the method of repositioning himself. Sure, with this courage, let's see how many more punches you can take from me. This kid seems to have broken his mind. He dares to punch Brother Tao, I'm afraid he's already a fool. The younger brothers didn't forget to mock Li Daozhi. This time, Li Daozhi took the initiative to punch, and Lu Tao didn't dodge either. With just one punch, he hit it. This time, Li Daozhi did not step back and punched right and left. Lu Tao also quickly counterattacked. He hit faster and faster, punching each punch with full force. His fist had turned red, and his arm bones were throbbing with pain. Bite your teeth tightly, close your eyes, and hit randomly, as the nosebleed flowed out again due to excessive force. Ah ah ah. Li Daozhi roared out, punching wildly. Enough, Lu Tao, stop playing. Scarface was already a bit tired of watching, and he was originally quite interested, but Li Daozhi seemed to have gone crazy. Understood. Lu Tao no longer cared about the punches that came over, and Li Daozhi's strength was almost exhausted, hitting him without pain or itching. He clenched his fist tightly, his biceps bulging, and he could see the twisting of his veins. A punch hit Li Daozhi's head. Li Daozhi punched Lu Tao again, and something unexpected happened. Lu Tao was shaken back 2 steps by that punch. But it's not over yet. Li Daozhi is still punching at lightning speed, hitting Lu Tao with every punch. At this point, the fist is no longer as soft and prone as before, and every punch hitting the body feels like being shot put. Lu Tao was beaten and kept retreating, with his arms in front of him. Every blow made his arms feel the pain of a broken bone. Li Daozhi didn't know what was going on either. He punched desperately, and as he was about to collapse, his strength suddenly surged again, and his strength also doubled several times. He opened his eyes, stopped punching, and looked at Lu Tao, who was protecting his head tightly in front of him. Lu Tao's arms had already been broken, and he didn't feel any more punches coming. He glanced at Li Daozhi from the gap between his arms. At this moment, Li Daozhi's expression had returned to its original state, just like at the beginning. Before he could figure out what was going on, Li Daozhi grabbed both of his arms and pulled them to both sides, jumping high and hitting Lu Tao's chin with his knee. Lu Tao's eyes were filled with Venus, and he felt the sky and earth spinning. Before he could recover, Li Daozhi punched him left and right in the face. In less than 2 minutes, Lu Tao was knocked unconscious and fell to the ground. Brother Tao. Brother Tao has been beaten to the ground. The other kids couldn't believe it, but Li Daozhi, who was already on the verge of death, suddenly became lively and even hit Lu Tao. Let's go up together and avenge Lu Tao. Ergo picked up his folding knife and rushed towards Li Daozhi. At the same time, Tang Xiaoyuan and Scarface were also surprised. Even though that crazy person was already at the end of his rope, was he pretending? But why bother pretending? Li Daozhi grabbed the hand of Ergo holding the knife with his backhand, then spun him up, let go, and threw him out. The 2 dogs that were thrown away collided with another person, and both of them fell to the ground. A little brother in black came to the side of Li Daozhi, and a small knife slashed towards his neck. Li Daozhi didn't even look at him. He lifted his left leg and kicked the little black-clothed man in the stomach, flying out directly. The other little brothers didn't dare to go up and deliver one by one like Hulua did to save Grandpa. 7 people surrounded him and rushed up together. Even if you have 18 different martial arts skills, it's impossible for you to defeat the 7 of us at the same time. What I said is quite reasonable and straightforward, and I don't know the shame of beating any of the 7 people. Li Daozhi didn't panic either. He grabbed both legs of Lu Tao, who had fainted on the ground. Invincible windmill. He grabbed Lu Tao's leg and spun, charging towards his kidnappers who dared not approach. I'll wipe it, you're too despicable, you can't even let go of someone who faints, the kidnappers cursed loudly. Li Daozhi ignored them at all, grabbed Lu Tao and attacked them like a big sword. Li Daozhi, like Galen who opened flew the 7 of them out together. All the little brothers were lying on the ground, and Li Daozhi also threw the used Lu Tao aside. Sure, kid, clean up all my subordinates. Scarface applauded. After seeing Li Daozhi defeat all 10 kidnappers, Tang Xiaoyuan's eyes widened. The rumor turned out to be true, and she thought it was just a fabrication of their boasting. Li Daozhi and Mo Shi chased after more than 10 people to fight, and finally called the police to stop that strange fight. So should you also release the person? Haha, you're really naive. Scarface quickly pulled out a Type 52 pistol from behind and pointed it at Li Daozhi. I admit you're very strong, but I wonder if you can resist my gun. Chapter 10. Spiritual Energy Bureau. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Heroes are not easy to be. If you want to be a hero, you must be prepared for sacrifice. Scarface slowly pulled the trigger. Yeah, if you want to be a hero, you have to be prepared for sacrifice. Li Daozhi is still that useless waste, damn it. Just one step away. At this moment, the lights outside the gate shone in, and bullets from the Type 52 pistol were also fired. Li Daozhi closed his eyes, smiled slightly, and waited for the arrival of death. Dang! Hey, this sound doesn't sound like hitting oneself. He opened his eyes and a strand of golden hair caught his eye. Although I couldn't believe it, it was indeed a girl who saved him. The girl held a Tang knife in her hand and cut the bullet in half. Wearing a black jacket and gray pants, with long golden hair fluttering in the air, like a night elf. After blocking the bullet, the girl did not look back at Li Daozhi and headed straight towards her scarred face. Her speed was too fast, and she was completely unprepared to shoot Scarface a second shot. She quickly came behind Scarface and a hand knife hit the back of the neck, causing Scarface to faint. All actions flow smoothly, just like a daily routine. After finishing her Scarface, the girl approached Tang Xiaoyuan and waved her knife. Tang Xiaoyuan thought she was saved, but she didn't expect someone to take her life. However, it was not as Tang Xiaoyuan had imagined that she did not feel any pain, but rather felt like she was breaking free from constraints. The rope tied to Tang Xiaoyuan was cut open with a very clever technique. Tang Xiaoyuan stood up from the chair, tore off the adhesive tape stuck to her mouth, and looked at the girl who looked like a porcelain doll. Thank you. The girl turned around and said, Don't thank me. If you want to thank me, thank that guy. That guy doesn't need to think, he's referring to Li Daozhi. The police have arrived, it's right at the door. You can go with them, he said as he walked towards Li Daozhi. She approached Li Daozhi and stared at him with sapphire-like eyes. Li Daozhi felt embarrassed when he was being stared at, and his nose was bleeding again. The girl handed over a tissue and said, You come with me. After finishing speaking, he walked out of the factory, regardless of whether Li Daozhi had followed. At this moment, there are 10,000 question marks in Li Daozhi's heart. What's wrong with this situation? Since I gained divine power, now there's a beautiful woman coming to save him, and I have to go with her myself. Are I the son of fate? Although there were many doubts, I still followed suit. 5 or 6 police cars were parked at the entrance, and everyone was on guard. It wasn't until the girl walked out that they relaxed. The girl approached the leading police officer, took out a card, and upon seeing it, he saluted. I want to take this boy back. The girl's tone was plain and indifferent. Good. The girl came to a Rolls-Royce that appeared extra prominent in the police car, opened the car door, and sat in the driver's seat. Hurry up and take you to the bureau to register. Going to the station. Shouldn't we go with them? Li Daozhi pointed to the nearby police uncles. What nonsense, come up quickly. The girl spoke impatiently and didn't like to explain too much to others. Oh. Li Daozhi obediently got into the passenger seat. After Rolls-Royce left, another Maserati arrived, with people of all ages coming down from it. Xiaoyuan, are you okay? The boy rushed up to Tang Xiaoyuan and hugged her in his arms. Tang Hao also cried happily and hugged the two of them. That. What game is the one you're talking about? Li Daozhi asked cautiously. We are going to the psychic bureau, and I am the psychic envoy there. What kind of psychic board? What kind of psychic powers are they? What are they all? Li Daozhi had never heard of these things, thinking that he might not have encountered a scammer. The Psychic Bureau is an investigative agency dedicated to resolving what ordinary people call supernatural events. Of course, those are not supernatural events, but rather the actions of awakened individuals. The psychic messenger is the awakened individual working in the Psychic Bureau. I really got into the car of a liar. Let me off quickly, don't think you can kidnap me because you are beautiful. I have heard that those beautiful girls will cheat people to kawaii, and don't take medicine. Li Daozhi became nervous when he heard about some mysterious event, some awakener, and this is not anime. The girl didn't do anything to explain this living treasure. Every human body has a spirit, and only those with a relatively large amount of spirit can use them. However, spirits also need to be awakened, often in the most desperate times. After awakening, humans are called awakeners. The awakened person's physique can be strengthened by the spirit, just like you just did. Are you saying that I am also an awakener, and I awakened just when I hit that big guy? The girl nodded and said, our mission as a psychic is to control the awakened. The awakened have much stronger abilities than ordinary humans, and if left unchecked, it can lead to incalculable consequences. So you're here to catch me? No, I haven't done anything wrong before. Li Daozhi was startled when he heard that the awakened one would be under control. He also had a father who had difficulty walking and needed his care. Vexia, spare your life. I have both seniors and juniors, and I haven't been in a relationship yet. I'm not here to catch you. We only catch two types of people, one is the awakener of behavioral danger and the other is the awakener of spiritual danger. That's good, that's good. I'm not a bad person, but what's the psionic power you mentioned? Li Daozhi didn't care so much. He saw the scene of the girl splitting the bullet, and there were fewer people with guns in a second. He couldn't believe it. His previous words were actually his unintentional roast. Spiritual ability refers to the special ability exerted by awakened individuals in spiritual application. Generally, awakened individuals only have one type of spiritual ability, and a small number of people may have two or more. What is my spiritual ability then? Your own spiritual power can only be known after you use it yourself. And what about yours? The girl turned her head and glanced at him, which frightened Li Daozhi. Everyone's spiritual abilities are their own secrets, and this matter concerns their own lives. Sorry, I won't ask anymore. We are currently familiar with 108 types of psychics, and of course, there are also unregistered ones. The higher the psychic sequence, the more dangerous it is. We will specifically monitor them for those above sequence 80. If I have awakened my spiritual power of over 80, that's okay. No, I absolutely cannot reveal my spiritual power. Can I join a psionic board? Perhaps joining a psionic board is also a good decision. We need to pass our test before considering whether you can join. If your level is too low, we don't want to.